have been reading this book for a few days now, and I haven't even talked to you at all. And I'm almost 200 pages into the book. Honestly, not much has happened. We started off this book in someone else's perspective. It's still third person, but we weren't following Harry Potter for the first 2 chapters, and I was like, this is strange, because every other book we started off with Harry at the Dursleys' house. This book, the first chapter was about the Prime Minister for the Muggles, right? Like a regular Prime Minister, not a wizard, and he just became the Prime Minister, and then Cornelius Fudge, uses the fire to come into his house with Floo powder, or into, his office, and then explains the wizarding world. And Fudge is like, don't worry, we won't be seeing each other very often. We usually don't have very much contact unless, something really big is happening in the wizard world that might affect your world. And then, of course, all of these things are happening with Voldemort. He's like, by the way, these 10 people escaped from Azkaban. We're trying to catch them. Oh yeah, by the way, the Dark Lord is back. Blah, 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 blah. All of these things. And the Prime Minister's like, I'm sorry, wizards? So that happened. And then the second chapter was Bellatrix Lestrange, and I think her name is Narcissa, and they go and visit Snape. And Narcissa and Bellatrix Lestrange are obviously Death Eaters, right? They follow Voldemort. But they're going to see Snape. This is present day. This isn't the past. I think. Yeah, because they talk about things that are currently happening. And they're talking to Snape. We know that Snape used to be a Death Eater, right? He has the dark mark on his arm, and he wears his little cape to hide it. They're like, how come you haven't killed Harry Potter? You have been so close to him for these past 5 years, and he's still alive. And Snape's like, I'm following Voldemort's orders. You went to prison for him and literally didn't help him at all, talking to Bellatrix Lestrange. Snape is saying that he was super, super close to Dumbledore, so he's, getting inside information. I think it was 15 years worth of information, right? Because that's how long Voldemort was gone for. So that's crazy, because I'm thinking, it's either Snape is actually still a Death Eater, which would be absolutely crazy, or he's pretending to be a Dark Eater, so why do I keep saying that? He's pretending to be a Death Eater so that he can get inside information from the Death Eaters to give to Dumbledore to defeat Voldemort. Right? So that's absurd. And then we obviously jump back to Harry. And he's going to the Weasleys' house. We don't really see any of the Dursleys in this book. Dumbledore comes to the Dursleys' house and takes Harry from there. And, we see the Dursleys, but they don't really play any big role or anything. So that was nice. And then they go to the Burrow. Everything's fine. Fleur Delacour, I don't know how to say her name. Fleur. She's the girl who was in the Triwizard Tournament in the last book. Not the last book. The 4th book. She's marrying Bill. Bill Weasley. Which is crazy. And everyone hates her because she's super annoying. And then they go to... what is it called? Something alley. They go to the alley where they can, buy wizardy things, but because of Voldemort, everyone's scared and half the stores aren't open. But they go to Fred and George's new store, and it's super, super cool, and it's so popular. People love it, and they're rich now, which is amazing. I love that for them. And then Hermione, Ron, and Harry follow Malfoy into one of the shops that's in, the lane that's for dark arts, kind of. And they overhear him because they have, those ear things that Fred and George made so they can, hear from far. I don't remember what they're called. But they overhear Draco Malfoy talking to the owner of that shop saying, like, I need you to fix this for me, and don't let anyone else see, especially my mother. And then he's like, also, make sure you keep this one safe. So then Harry's freaking out because he thinks Malfoy is a Death Eater. Yeah, that's right, a Death Eater. And everyone's like, how can he be a Death Eater? He's 16 years old. But honestly, like, yeah, I think he is too. Yep. So then, they're in Hogwarts. Their classes are, like, super overloaded with homework. Harry became the captain of the Quidditch team, which is amazing, so he gets to, like, pick the people that are on the team. And Ron's on the team because Hermione, like, jinxed the guy that was better than him so that he would be worse, so Ron could win the, like, contest to see who gets into the thing. I honestly don't have any big opinions. Like, I think it's crazy if Snape and Draco Malfoy are both Death Eaters. Crazy. I love Dumbledore is giving Harry lessons, and they this was weird actually. They just went into the Pensieve, right? They go and they're in this little town, blah blah blah. I'm not gonna explain the whole thing because it's really not a lot, but it's like Voldemort's ancestors, kind of like Voldemort's dad, mom, and like grandfather. Voldemort's mom was a squib, and like, so she was a wizard but not very good, right? I'm pretty sure that that's what a squib is, same as like Filch, the hall monitor guy. And she used a love potion to make a muggle fall in love with her, and then they like were together for super super long, and then she finally got pregnant with Voldemort, and then she was like, I think that this guy will be in love with me for real by now, like I need to stop using the love potion. So she does, and then he's not in love with her, and he leaves her before she gives birth, so he doesn't really know that his son is Voldemort, which is crazy. When they're in the book, there's a snake nailed to the front door of like the Voldemort house, and I don't know if it was this. I don't think it was the snake talking. So the guy opens the door, and Ogden's like, I don't understand you. Like, I don't know what you're saying. And then he's like, I don't understand what you're saying. And Harry's like, how could you not understand? And he looks at Dumbledore, and Dumbledore's like, you understand, right, Harry? And he's like, oh, he's speaking Parseltongue. Strange. That's strange. Also, there's a new teacher. Oh! I just remembered something crazy. So there's a new teacher. His name is like Slughorn or something. Dumbledore originally, Dumbledore picked Harry up from the Dursley's house, and then they went to this Slughorn guy's house to try to convince him to be a teacher. And Harry just naturally assumed that he was going to be the new Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher. They get to Hogwarts, and Dumbledore's like, by the way, you have a new teacher. This is Professor Slughorn teaching potions. And everyone's like, potions? Then who's teaching dark arts? Snape. Snape is teaching dark arts, guys. That's crazy. Those are all of the developments that have happened in the first 198 pages of the book. You have all of the details. You're welcome. This is the best Harry Potter book by far. Harry was looking at the Marauders map and saw that Malfoy was in the bathroom with Moaning Myrtle, so he like snuck in there, and Malfoy was like bawling his eyes out saying like, oh, I have to do this, or he said he'll kill me. And then Malfoy like sees Harry, and then they start like trying to fight each other with magic, obviously, and Malfoy goes to use the Crusacious, I think that's what it is, curse, like this deadly forbidden curse, and Harry uses this curse that he found in his book that the Half-Blood Prince owned. And he uses it, and all of a sudden Malfoy's like dying. There's blood everywhere, coming out of his chest, blah, blah, blah. Then Snape comes in, saves Malfoy. Malfoy's going to the hospital wing. And then Snape uses, I guess it's the opposite of occlumency, like goes into Harry's brain to find out like how he knew this thing. And then he finds out like it's in one of his school books. So Harry takes Ron's potions book instead of the Half-Blood Prince one. And then Snape's like, so how come it says that this is Ronald Weasley's book? And he's like, oh, that's my nickname. No. So now he has detention. First detention he has is on the very last, like, the championship game of Quidditch against Hufflepuff. So everyone's pissed at him because he's using this it was a forbidden curse. Also, it was like dark magic, the curse that he found in the book that he used against Malfoy. So then everyone's mad at him, whatever, and then he's mad at himself obviously because now they're gonna lose this Quidditch game. And then he goes to detention with Snape and whatever, and then he goes back to the common room after the game, and they won. They won by so much. And then he kisses Ginny, and Ron's like, oh well. And then Harry and Ginny like go off to go smooch. So exciting. I completely forgot the whole, like, what is this book called? Half-Blood Prince thing. Because we finally have like a little sneak peek into what that is. So he got this used textbook and it has writing in it. And so Harry was following the steps to make this potion, but he followed the steps that a student had written, like in the sidelines. It was like, oh, add in a little clockwise spin every once in a while. And it worked. And then he just kept doing it. Hermione's like, that's cheating. And Harry's like, no, it's not. Like, Ron could have gotten this textbook. Like, why would it just have been me? So, and then there's a part in the book that, like, in that textbook that says, owned by the Half-Blood Prince. So, yeah. That's crazy. Guys, I know who the Half-Blood Prince is. Harry's dad. Literally has to be. Because Harry just found this spell that, like, he used on Ron by accident, and Hermione hates that he's following this thing. And Harry's like, why does it matter if it's handwritten? And Hermione says, because it's probably not Ministry of Magic approved. And also, I'm starting to think this Prince character was a bit dodgy. Dangling people upside down by the ankle? Who puts their time and energy into making up spells like that? Harry's dad did that, actually. He dangled Snape by the ankle. Upside down by the ankle. When he accidentally, like, went into Snape's thoughts in the Occlumency lessons in the previous book. Yep. 100%. 100%. Currently on page 360. And I am loving this book. As we know, Harry is having these little meetings with Dumbledore to kind of learn about Voldemort's past, right? And then we see one of these visions, and it's kind of funky, like Slughorn, the new potions teacher, is talking to Tom Riddle, or Voldemort, when he was going to school there, when Slughorn was teaching. And some of it's like foggy, like literally there's white fog, right? And then when Slughorn talks, it's like he's yelling and it seems very out of place. So Harry's like, Dumbledore, I don't understand, like that was weird. And he's like, this memory has been tampered with. So in that memory, Tom Riddle asks
Slughorn what he knows about, I'm gonna butcher this, it's like Horcruxes. 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 I don't know what it is. We don't know what it is. And so Tom Riddle asks Slughorn what he knows about Horcruxes. And Slughorn essentially changed the memory to say, I have no idea, I don't know what those are, I don't know anything about them. So obviously he does. So Dumbledore sends Harry on this mission to figure out what they are, ask Slughorn what that real memory was. Because he thinks that Harry has Slughorn has a liking to Harry, right? But then Slughorn's like, no, Dumbledore put you up to this, blah, 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 blah. What I think is going to happen is that Harry is going to use that potion that he won this potion in his potions class that can make him lucky, and I think he's going to take it, and then that's going to help him find out the real thing, because even Dumbledore doesn't know what the real memory is.
This book was everything that I wanted it to be. Because we got the suspense, we got the sense of danger, we got the romance, we got the magic, and we got the drama. What more could you ask for from a YA fantasy? Especially Harry Potter. I also watched the movie, so let's talk about it. So I am rating this book 4.75. This could be a 5-star book. It just didn't give me that feeling. You know, the 5-star feeling? My favorite things about this book. The Felix Felicis, I'm probably butchering that name, that Harry gets, the lucky potion, that, when he pretends to use it on Ron, and then Ron does amazing in the Quidditch match, when he actually uses it to get the information out of Slughorn, was so good. The scenes where Harry and Dumbledore go into the Pensieve and look through people's thoughts and memories, that was so vivid in my brain. I pictured every single thing that was described in every single one of those scenes. Absolutely, would die for those scenes right there. I love that Harry was right, because throughout this whole book, Harry's like, no guys, Malfoy's a Death Eater. He has something in the school that's causing all of these people to almost die, like Ron and Katie something. And he knew it. He was like, nuh-uh. Malfoy is he is the reason all of these bad things are happening. And of course he was right. Because then he's trying to kill Dumbledore, but he's a big baby. And Snape kills Dumbledore. And Snape is the Half-Blood Prince. Absolutely crazy. Because, am I surprised that Snape is a Death Eater still? No. I'm just I'm not surprised that he's a Death Eater. I'm surprised at how good he, how good he was at portraying Dumbledore. Dumbledore really thought Snape was his inside man. No, dude, you were played. As of right now, I feel I don't know, Dumbledore's dead. When Harry and Ginny finally get together, amazing. When Ron and Hermione finally stop hating each other, and I'm like, hey, I like you. My favorite. The Quidditch games, my favorite. I can't think of one thing in this book that I did not like. I don't like that Dumbledore died, but, you know, it's for the plot. The movie was good. I'm rating it a 4.5, okay? Some of the things were just not accurate, like, as usual. Like, the scene where Dumbledore dies was just, like, it just didn't have the same sense of danger that the movie did. Like, we really felt like we were in danger. Like Dumbledore was gonna die. Or, like, because all of the Death Eaters were fighting people, and, people were dying. Like, everyone thought that people were dying throughout the building. And then that didn't really happen. The reason I didn't like the movie as much as the book is because it was missing on some of the backstory. Like, for instance, one of the Pensy, like, I don't know if I missed this in the movie. It's very possible. I was wrapping Christmas presents. So if I just missed this one part, I apologize. But I'm pretty sure that the first memory that Dumbledore and Harry go into didn't happen in the movie. You don't get that in the movie at all. So, like, I wanted that because really this book is about Voldemort and his past. And it really is just like trying to find out why Voldemort is doing this and how he's managing to stay alive. Because we find out that that Voldemort is using these Horcruxes, and he has 7 of them, supposedly. And then they're trying to find the Horcruxes so they can break them so Voldemort's soul gets dead. You know, all those pieces of his soul. So, like, I don't know. We really, really miss out on that feeling of, like, we're finally figuring it out in the movie. We have that in the book, 100%. Also, I was definitely missing out on that Quidditch game because in this book, Harry gets detention with Snape because he almost killed Malfoy. And then he misses the final Quidditch match of the year against Hufflepuff, but then they still win. Gryffindor still wins, and that's when Harry and Ginny get together. And it's like this magical moment, everyone's super happy, and Ron's like, yeah, you do your thing, dude. That didn't happen. Like, Harry and Ginny got together, like, in some basement in the movie. I don't know. By far, my favorite book. I know that I rated it the same as the first book. I rated Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone 4.75 as well, but not purely, I guess, like, but largely because of the nostalgia of it. Like, because I loved that movie as a kid. But I didn't rate the movie high. I don't know what I'm talking about. That logic made no sense. I am so excited to read the next book. So excited. If it is anything like this book, like, I don't think that it can be a 5-star, though. Like, these books just don't... I don't know if that's such a bad thing to say. Like, they don't feel like 5-star books to me. In the last video, part 2 of this series, I was talking about how on my Kindle, it, like, says these books are a certain amount of pages, but they're really not. For instance, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows is 620 pages, and my Kindle was telling me that it was like 300 something pages. And I was like, what the heck is going on? Like, I don't get it. Like, when you click on the ...
It says 313 pages. It says typical time to read is 11 hours and 36 minutes. But when I open the actual book, at the bottom here, it says, if it'll let me, guys, maybe. Jeez. No. Bro. It says page 1 of 621. Which is correct. Like, I don't know why it would say that. I mean, I don't understand where they got this 313 pages from. Like, yeah, that's half the book. What about the other half? So I'm so happy about that because I was very scared to read the book on my Kindle. With the last book, I didn't read it on my Kindle at all. I read the physical copy because I was like worried that I was missing out on something, like because it said that there were less pages on the Kindle. So now I can actually read comfortably in bed because I know. And I obviously just didn't check with the last one. So I am having a little bit of confusion with like what's happening in the book compared to the movie, okay? So this is about Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. At the end of the book, Harry breaks up with Ginny because he feels that they shouldn't be together because he's about to go on like this dangerous mission because he's not going to go back to Privet Drive because he has no reason to, because the only reason he was sent back there every year was because it was protected by his mom's magic. But only until he turns of age, which is 17 in the wizarding world. And he's about to be 17. Harry breaks up with Ginny during Dumbledore's funeral. But that didn't happen in the movie. Like, in the movie, they all, like, raised up their wands, and then there was, like, this magic thingy at the funeral. Now I'm, like, confused, because, first of all, this book is crazy. It is not taking the same, like, structure as every other book. Like, we're already seeing Dumbledore, and I'm on chapter 6. Like, people have died. Mad-Eye Moody is dead. He was killed by one of the Death Eaters. George got his ear blown off. It's gone. Yeah, Mad-Eye Moody died. Everyone else is okay, though. And they're all, like, trying to figure out who told the Death Eaters that Harry was leaving on that night. And, like, nobody's realizing that it was Snape. And they know that Snape went off with the Death Eaters. Like, when previously they were all like the best wizards in the world, and now they're not being very smart. Finally done the Harry Potter series. Isn't that crazy? This is my all-time favorite Harry Potter book. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. It might be Hallows, but I think that sounds weird. I just like don't even know what to say about this book. I don't have one piece of criticism. Perfection. Actually bawled my eyes out when Dobby died. You guys, Dobby is dead. No, but he's the main character. Can't kill off a main character. Oh my gosh. Also bawled my eyes out when Harry literally walked into the Forbidden Forest to die. Because like now we know Harry doesn't die. I don't really get why.
Like, why didn't he die? But I don't care, because he's alive and Voldemort's dead. And everything is right with the world. Except for, like, what about the Death Eaters? Because, like, I get that their leader's gone, but it's not like... It's not like they were forced to be Death Eaters and they didn't want to do it, you know? Like, Bellatrix Lestrange, like, she's still gonna try to kill Harry. Right? But I was reading this on my Kindle, and there was, like, a continue reading thing. It's Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. But I'm not gonna read that. I'm not gonna read any other Harry Potter things, except something about, like, Fantastic Beasts. I think there's, like, some book about, like, the magical creatures and stuff. That's interesting, but I don't think it actually, like, continues the plot, you know? But I have no interest in, like, in that at all. So, oh, you guys, this book was just so good. I literally bawled my eyes out for the last 200 pages of this book. I only cried, well, I did cry twice during the movie. No, actually, no. I didn't cry when Dobby died in the movie. So, as we know, there are 2 movies, but for this book, but I'm just gonna consider it one movie, because it's part 1 and part 2, okay? So, I'm talking about both of them. The movie and the book were very closely matched. Like, the movie wasn't, like, missing out on big things. Like, I didn't feel like, where's the plot? Like, I didn't feel like we were missing anything in the movie that we had in the book. The fight scenes, amazing. The only thing that I thought was super, like, that I didn't like very much about the movie compared to the book was that, like, during Bill and Fleur's wedding, Harry was actually, like, disguised as someone else, so people didn't know he was there. But that didn't happen in the movie. He was just himself. And also, there was another part, like, I don't know. They're just, like, were very straight up, like, oh, this is Harry Potter. And I guess, like, it would have been, may have been confusing for us. But there was a scene where he was disguised as someone else, and we know that it's him when they break into the Ministry of Magic, right? Like, I just don't get that. I think it was so interesting. Like, the whole plot was just so thought out. You know? Like, J.K. Rowling, like, she knew what she was doing. And, like, when Hermione was getting tortured by Bellatrix Lestrange, and Ron and Harry were in, like, the dungeon, and Ron was, like, screaming for Hermione, like, I felt that. That didn't really happen in the movie, but I felt it. And, like, when Ginny found out that Harry was dead, oh, actually, like, heart-wrenching. Like, whipped my heart out and smashed it on the ground. That's what happened when I read this book. If you haven't read these books, you need to. So what are you doing? Oh wait, I didn't talk about my ratings. This book is 5 stars. Yeah, we knew that. The movie, 4.5. 4.75. Because it just wasn't as good. It didn't hit as hard, you know, into feels. But this book, man. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video, and thank you for coming with me on my Harry Potter journey. It was so boring and so thrilling all at the same time. And I'm so happy that I finally read the Harry Potter books. I don't know what I was thinking when I was 12 years old, but I'm so happy that I read them and watched the movies. The books are better.